Hey everyone, I want you to hear me out for a second, alright? Italians and Go-Karts, the video game, 2003 edition, being played by someone also from 2003. Sounds pretty cool, right? It sounds like it would be almost worth double the normal dash of joy you'd get from playing a game like this. Yeah, note to self, you're not a comedian. Don't make these jokes. Just start looking at trucker school before you get run out of town for making a joke like that. That was bad. Mario Kart Double Dash, a game published by Nintendo in 2003 for the GameCube. And man, let me tell you, this game right here is my childhood. Now, for those of you who don't know, I began my gaming journey somewhere around 2010 when I got a Nintendo GameCube. With that GameCube, I got a few games. Though, out of those games, the one I easily played the most was Mario Kart Double Dash. I mean, yeah, I did also play Ocarina of Time quite a bit, but personally, I don't think getting stuck in Kokiri Forest counts. Over the years, I have played a ton of this game, whether it was solo or with friends or family. And although it has been quite a bit of time since I first played the game, I still adore it, partially due to nostalgia, but also due to its uniqueness. But anyway, let's boot up the game, sit on the home screen for a minute, and zone out to this absolute gem of a theme song, and ask one central question. What makes Double Dash so special among the Mario Kart series? Well, you're looking at part of the answer. One of the things that makes Mario Kart Double Dash so special is the Double Dash mechanic, which allows you to have 2 characters per kart. This allows for various character combinations, which, yes, can come down to personal preference, but you can also strategize around the Double Dash mechanic due to some of the systems that Double Dash implemented. First off is splitting the 18 playable characters into 3 separate weight classes, which not only affects how each one drives, but it also impacts which karts can be selected, which was a first for the series. Another system implemented in the Double Dash which interacts with the Double Dash mechanic are character-specific items. These are items that, as the name implies, only specific pairs of characters can acquire when hitting an item box on the racetrack, in addition to all the lame normal items everyone can pick up. For example, the Fireball item can only be collected by Mario and Luigi. The Golden Mushroom can only be picked up by Toad and Toadette, who, side note, was created specifically for Double Dash, and the Bomb, which can only be collected by Wario and Waluigi. Now this is cool and all, I hear you say, but what if I want 2 character-specific items at the same time? Well, now you're using your noggin, because you can do just that by mixing and matching characters to get the exact item combination you want. And due to the Double Dash mechanic allowing you to hold 2 items at once, you can create some real mayhem doing this. You want to play as Baby Mario and Donkey Kong to get both the Chain Chomp and Big Banana? Go for it! Bowser Jr. and Peach to get a giant Bowser Shell and Heart Shield? Nice Mario Sunshine reference. Paratroopa and Birdo to get both the Triple Shell and Egg? Not sure I've seen that combo, but I don't see why not. Petey Piranha and King Boo to get any item in the game since they both have access to all character-specific items? That's way too much noggin for one day, buddy. Knock it off. Anyway, that's enough about gameplay mechanics. Let's actually begin playing Mario Kart Double Dash. And immediately upon entering the single player mode, we are presented with 2 options, Grand Prix or Time Trials. I mean, the Grand Prix mode is all I and anyone really care about in the Mario Kart series, but to avoid hurting the feelings of the time trial community, I suppose I can spare exactly 12 words about it. You race around a track solo while trying to improve your time. Alright, enough about that. Let's get into the Grand Prix. Pick our characters and kart, and then... well, I wasn't exactly looking to make a decision today, but alright, sure. So, Mario Kart Double Dash's tracks. They certainly are a thing. Who am I kidding? These tracks are great. Split into the Mushroom, Flower, Star, and Special Cups, each one has 4 tracks per cup, adding up to a total of 16 tracks with 3 laps each. Well, at least for the most part. This is exactly how every other Mario Kart game is set up. Why did I say it like it was something new? But hey, why are we just sitting here talking about how the cups are set up when we have 16 awesome tracks that we can race on? So, without any further ado, let's discuss these tracks and see what I like about them, dislike about them, and potentially completely random things which pop into my head about them because I have no self-control. Yes, that should put you slightly on guard. Oh yeah, and we'll be going through the tracks in the order the game intends us to, starting with the beginning of the Mushroom Cup and going until we hit the end of the Special Cup. Alright, now let's get into the tracks of Mario Kart Double Dash, which starts us off at Luigi's Circuit. the beginner track of the game, which exists in order to ease new players into the rather different gameplay of Double Dash. Overall, it's a fairly basic track. You get a U at one end and another one on the other end, both of which having plenty of boost panels. You have this area where you can hit racers going the other way with items, which is pretty cool, and a handful of Luigi's Mansion references on the outskirts of the track, which, side note, you'll see that referencing the, at the time, contemporary Mario games is something that Double Dash loves to do. Overall, Luigi Circuit's a pretty inoffensive track, which, as I mentioned, is kind of the whole point of it. Next up is Peach Beach, which, yeah, that's certainly a beach, but I don't really see anything peach related. Now, aside from the title, which rhymes, what else does this course have? Well, I mean, it has this seaside Pianta town, which could potentially be Delfino Plaza, which is neat and all, but let's be honest, the real area of interest is in the title. Now, the beach itself isn't exactly anything special, but it does have some charming elements. You have this alternate route, which the tide reveals, as well as the cataquacks, which have a tendency to violate you. Why does this seem so, I don't know, familiar? Oh yeah, and you also have a phallic-shaped rock in the middle of the beach. And just because I know about this, that means the whole world must know about this. Do I regret anything? No, not really. Anyway, we may only be 3 courses into the game, but we have now hit one of the most divisive tracks in all of Mario Kart, Baby Park. And while I'm here, I may as well throw my hat into the Baby Park turf war by saying that I personally really enjoy it. Now yes, the track is just one giant simple oval, but that's the fun of it. 7 laps of pure chaos. And then you add in the character specific items and oh boy, welcome to Shock and Awe Mario Kart Edition. And now going into the final track found within the Mushroom Cup, we have Dry Desert. Which, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good summary of the track's appearance. It's also kind of dry to play on, because in all honesty, there's not a whole lot going on here. I mean, these Dust Devils and the Pokies guarding the item boxes are pretty neat, but in all reality, the only thing this course has going for it is the Sarlacc pit thing located in the middle of the road, which the Super Mario Wiki just calls the pit plant, which is kind of lame, so let's just name it, Joe. Yeah, let's just go with Joe. You know, Dry Desert isn't a bad course by any means, and it isn't even the worst desert map in Mario Kart. That title goes to Dry Ruins in Mario Kart Wii. But I think I'd have to say that Dry Desert is one of my least favorite tracks in Double Dash. But Joe does keep it from hitting the bottom. Alright, that's enough negativity. On to the Flower Cup, which begins with Mushroom Bridge. Consisting of 2 tunnels and quite a bit of road, this equates to you not being the only vehicle on the road, meaning that you're not only avoiding other racers and their items, but also Wiggler buses and car bombs. Oh man, I didn't know we were in Belfast. But enough about that, bridge time. With a nice thorough arch architecture style, assuming this bridge was properly constructed, it can hold hundreds of tons before hurtling everyone into the harbor below. It is so strong that racers can drive on the arches without them breaking, a feat that I have personally not been able to achieve. But hey, that's alright. Just because someone can't pull off a trick, that doesn't mean that they're a loser or something. That just means their strengths are somewhere else. Oh my god, I did it. That's right, losers. I'm better than you! Let's go! Woo! Unrelated note, Mario Circuit kinda sucks. Like, easily the blandest track in the whole game kinda sucks. Centered around Peach's castle, the track's essentially one giant oval of nothingness, with only a couple Goombas and Piranha Plants to dodge, as well as a singular Chain Chomp, which, if we're gonna be honest, is mostly just there for decoration. By far the most interesting part of this course is the giant Mario sign, but beyond that, I just don't have anything else to say about this thing. It is absolutely, by far, the blandest course in the entire game, and in my opinion, the worst track in the entire game. But now, from bland to potentially the most iconic track of Double Dash, Daisy Cruiser is just awesome. I mean, come on, you're racing around a giant cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. Though the tables shifting around as wildly as they do, does make me question how long until this thing gets swallowed up by the briny blue. We also have a shortcut which sees you drop down into the cargo hold and shoot at the exhaust pipe, which is technically slower than just going the normal way, but screw you, society. I'm gonna keep going down here. There's nothing you can do to stop me. I also like the life preservers hanging in front of the staircase. They just feel right, and I'm sure Nintendo will keep these in any subsequent re-release of the track. Am I salty? Nope, not at all. And now, onto the final track of the Flower Cup, Waluigi Stadium. This track is pretty entertaining with its dirt track aesthetic and giant obstacles such as the mechanical piranha plants. Yeah, honestly, that's about all I got to say about this thing. Thought I'd have more to say, but, yeah, I got nothing. I guess the Jumbotron's pretty neat. Alright, now on to the Star Cup, which begins with the premier, and only, snow track in Double Dash, Sherbet Land. You know, people really seem to hate this track, but I really do enjoy it. Now, yeah, the layout is kinda dull, but man, the atmosphere this place has is just immaculate. You get these two frozen over lakes with the Shy Guys skating on it, with an ice cave linking the two. You also have a bunch of these freezies on the second lake, which can really mess you up if you slam into them. But, to be honest, they're pretty easy to avoid. Alright, fine, I stand corrected. But anyway, flipping to the other side of the coin, I don't really get the hype behind Mushroom City. I mean, is it one of the better city tracks in the Mario Kart series? Absolutely. But it's still just kinda meh. I mean, the fact that it takes place at night certainly sets it apart from its competition. I also enjoy that the map incorporates an overpass into its design, which really makes it feel like you're driving through a proper American city. Though the car bombs make you feel like you're back in Belfast. Yep, I think that's really all I gotta say about Mushroom City. Neat ideas, but just never really clicked with me. Next up is Yoshi Circuit, which, yeah, that's definitely a Yoshi Circuit. Am I allowed to use Yoshi as an adjective? But anyway, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, you can play as Yoshi, driving Yoshi, racing on Yoshi, all the while a Yoshi copter passes overhead. I like that. Anyway, to wrap up the Star Cup, we have DK Mountain, which certainly makes an impression because within seconds of starting the course, you get shot out of a giant cannon towards the volcano with a face and subsequently have to make your way down the volcano, all the while avoiding boulders. You also have hazards such as this massive pit and suspension bridge at the end, neither of which being much of a problem. Well, at least until you fast forward to 2008, when Mario Kart Wii decides that joy is an emotion that no human being should feel. And now, moving into Double Dash's final cup, the Special Cup, we have Wario Coliseum, which is certainly an interesting track. To begin, it is by far the longest course in the game, which the game compensates for by reducing its lap count from the standard 3 down to 2, which makes Wario Coliseum the only track in Mario Kart history to have less than 3 laps. Well, what about the sectioned off courses of later games, I hear you ask? Stop, turn around, sit in the timeout corner, please don't interrupt my mojo. Anyway, the track is set in a giant cage Coliseum thing, and overall, it's all just pretty cool. Also, doing this massive jump in the middle of the track makes me feel like a real man. Like, this is the Nintendo version of those Clutch Nixon challenges in Far Cry 5. Significantly more Italians in this version, though. Next up is Dino Dino Jungle, and, to be honest, this track is pretty cool, all things considered. Racing through this prehistoric, I guess we'll go forest because this is absolutely not a jungle, we have numerous obstacles to contend with, such as narrow bridges, water geysers, or even getting stepped on by Noshi the Apatosaurus. Overall, the setting and obstacles of this course are rather entertaining, but let's be real, the main reason people are attracted to this course is, dinosaur. And speaking of big lizards, Bowser's Castle frickin' rocks here in Double Dash. To begin, this is really the only Bowser's Castle to not go all in on the fire aspect of Bowser's Castle, and instead focuses more on the spookiness of the castle. But that doesn't mean fire is completely absent, not in the slightest, because you have a giant Bowser statue at the end of the track spitting balls of it at you, which, might I say, Double Dash has the only implementation of the Bowser statue since its introduction in Mario Kart 64 that I actually enjoy. Mario Kart 8's version just feels stale, and Mario Kart Wii's is just kind of boring. I don't exactly know how you make a giant Bowser statue boring and stale, but man was it something that Wii and 8 were able to achieve, so good job, I guess? Anyway, on to the final track of Mario Kart Double Dash. Everyone's favorite track, or most hated track, Rainbow Road! Woo! Being a literal rainbow road suspended in the air above Mushroom City, this track brings joy to about half of Double Dash's player base, and makes the other half, as well as the FAA, wake up in a cold sweat. And personally, I fall into the former category, as over the years, I have learned to love this track. The most immediately obvious thing which makes this track awesome is the giant elevator tube thingy, which the Mario Wiki calls a wind tunnel, but I like my version better. Though honestly, the thing that I think is by far the coolest thing about this track are the shooting stars visible in the background, which can actually land on the track as invincibility stars, which is awesome. All in all, Rainbow Road is a difficult yet rewarding track with some great flair and a wonderful track to cap off the Grand Prix mode of Double Dash. Well then, that was a fun time. But what's next? Well, I guess we could talk about the multiplayer options Double Dash has on offer. Yeah, that sounds good. So, without any further ado, let's discuss everyone's favorite multiplayer mode. The one that everyone thinks of when you play Mario Kart with friends. That's right, we're about to discuss the one, the only, co-op mode. So, what do I have to say about the co-op mode? Well, the main draw of this mode is that you and a buddy can become the Double Dash mechanic. What I mean by that is that one of you takes charge of driving while the other one focuses solely on items, creating a unique sense of teamwork not found anywhere else within the Mario Kart franchise. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna drop the act. I really don't understand the point of this mode. It's incredibly boring. Like, if you're going to play normal races with a buddy, go through the Grand Prix or Versus mode so you both actually get to do something. Also, while I'm on this rant, the GameCube has 4 controller ports, so why are you basically wasting half of your potential fun on what is, at the end of the day, just a 1v1 race at most? Alright, that's enough about that. On to Battle Mode. Consisting of 3 modes with up to 4 players, you have the option of Balloon Battle, which sees you trying to pop all of your opponent's balloons with items, Shine Thief, which has you attempt to keep hold of a shine sprite for the longest time without someone stealing it from you, and finally Bob-omb Blast, which sees you try and hit your opponent a specific amount of times, with the twist being every single item is replaced with bombs. So okay, 3 modes and up to 4 players. Sounds like quite a fun time, I hear you say. But what stages are there for us to play on? Well, it seems you're a couple steps ahead of me, because that's exactly what I was about to discuss. So let's get into those 4 battle mode stages, as well as the 2 unlockable stages. And what better stage to start this discussion off with than Cookie Land? Taking direct inspiration from Yoshi's Cookie on the NES, which I've never played, Cookie Land is, well, just a bunch of cookies making a fairly basic track. All in all, it's just a giant circle with a couple barriers in the middle to break up sightlines. That's really all I got for Cookie Land. Though, a track I have a little more to talk about is Block City, the sequel to Block 4 in Mario Kart 64. Now yes, this track is basically the same thing as Cookie Land, with it being a simple shape with a couple things breaking up sightlines, but the thing that makes Block City so much better is corners. As well as shortcuts and elevation changes, but mostly corners. All these elements make the track just a little more interesting. However, if I'm going to be honest, Block City doesn't hold a candle to our next stage, Pipe Plaza, which is yet again another seemingly simple course. However, you forgot to take a look at the wall of pipes, which allows you to escape your opponents by warping to another level of the stage. The different levels also allow for a bit of strategy to be implemented on whether you want to be on the ground level, which makes it a bit easier to go on the offensive, or if you want to go on the defensive up on the ramparts, which allows you to escape much easier. Man, Pipe Plaza is such a fun track, and I think I'd have to say it is my favorite battle mode stage in Mario Kart Double Dash, hands down. This is a close second. I mean, come on, you're battling on a GameCube floating in the vast emptiness of space. That's just cool. Now yes, it's just a wide open space with nothing on the track, but that's the fun of it. It perfectly caters towards that utter chaos that battle mode is known for, and that's why I love this track so much. Alright, that's enough about that. On to the unlockable stages, which brings us to Luigi's Mansion, and all around, it's a pretty cool track. Taking place within Luigi's Mansion, obviously, we get a battle on the ground level, the roof, and even the basement. And that's not all, because if we look on the walls, we can notice some of the paintings are actually the portrait ghosts from the original Luigi's Mansion. That's right, my copy of Luigi's Mansion may not work anymore, but I am still cultured. Anyway, what was the other unlockable track again? Tilt-A-Kart? Oh good god, that is one heck of an unlock requirement. Yeah, the track looks fine, but I think I'll take a pass on unlocking it. I have significantly better things to do with my time. Remember kids, if you're not fully hydrated, you are not living like Larry. Alright, I think that covers all the game modes that Double Dash has on offer. What's next? I forgot about the land play mode? Alright, fine. We'll do that. So, land play. A relic of the world which this game was released in. Now, have you ever thought, man, it's so cool that I can play Double Dash with 4 players, but I really wish I could play with up to 16 players? Well, now this mode's cool and all, but good luck if you want to play this way. I was gonna say nowadays, but I suppose it probably would have been a pain in the neck in 2003 as well. Why is this, you might ask? Well, because you're going to need around 8 GameCubes, 16 controllers, 8 LAN adapters, 8 televisions, enough LAN cables to daisy chain this monstrosity together, as well as 16 people willing to put up with this crap. Or, you could just use the World Wide Web and play Mario Kart World online. I have a hunch that's going to be significantly cheaper and easier. Alright, Mario Kart Double Dash. You got any other secrets that I need to cover? Oh hey, I almost forgot about the bonus disc. So, this bonus disc was included in the special edition of the game, and yeah, as you've already seen, this is the version I grew up with. I mean, what's not to love about this bonus disc? You get a demo for Mario Party 5, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, F-Zero GX, and the undisputed GOAT, Sonic Heroes. You also have trailers for numerous GameCube classics, the endlessly looping theme song of Double Dash, which makes you contemplate how much effort it would be to ram your head through a brick wall. Bonus items for a game that I don't even own. Yep, I think that about covers it. Well anyway, wrapping everything up, by the end of Mario Kart Double Dash's life, it had sold around 6.88 million units, which isn't half bad, as that makes it the second best-selling GameCube game, only being beaten out by Super Smash Bros. Melee. Though this number also makes it the second worst-selling Mario Kart game, only staying above Super Circuit, which is a game that I genuinely forget exists half the time. Now I could give 1,000 reasons on why this is, like how almost all the other games released on much more popular systems, or like how Nintendo really liked to cycle through pack-in titles during this era. Or how Mario Kart 8 is just an unstoppable force of nature, making Double Dash's sales look even worse. But that doesn't change the fact that Double Dash was not enjoyed by a large number of players compared to the other games in the series. Now yes, GameCube has finally been added to Nintendo Switch Online, and some of the tracks have thankfully returned in newer games, which can range from really nice upgrades to make the track even more enjoyable, a beautiful visual upgrade that serves to elevate the track's theming, some that are pretty faithful to the original by not adding or subtracting anything, or my 13th reason why, but man, it really is a bummer that not many people enjoyed Double Dash upon its release or in the subsequent decades. But I did, and man, let me tell you, I am so happy I did. Despite the game controlling a whole lot weirder than I recall, but that's probably way too much time in modern Mario Kart talking. So, to finally answer the question that I posed all the way back at the beginning of our discussion, Mario Kart Double Dash is special because it took risks. Some panning out and others never again seeing the light of day. But either way, everything came together in such a way to create an incredibly special game which continues to stand the test of time as not only one of the most fun, but one of the most unique Mario Kart games in the entire series. Oh crap, you guys are still here. I was just looking at Trucker School here on my phone because apparently I didn't learn my lesson about comedy. Looks like they have a couple down in Des Moines. That's not that far, that's not bad. So you guys want to see me hold an item for Mario Kart? I think I got a list here on my phone that I can look at. See if I can find something useful there that I have. Banana seems reasonable. I think I have that somewhere. You know, when I said banana, I wasn't exactly thinking artificial, but here we are. Though it does perfectly transition me in my next little story here. Did you know that in 1954, the United States helped overthrow Guatemalan President Jacobo Arbenz with the backing of the United Fruit Company, which later became Chiquita Banana? No? Absolutely amazing! So, our story begins in 1951 when Arbenz was elected president of Guatemala. Though it actually can probably start a little bit before that in 1901, when the United Fruit Company got access to the National Postal Service.